My wife left me for my son's friend, after which my girlfriend cheated on me with my son because he promised that I would marry her. I was married to this woman for years, decades actually. We had a son together, and for a long time, I thought we were solid. Not perfect, but solid. She was there through my job changes, the late nights, the arguments about money. I worked hard to keep things going, even when it wasn't easy. Our son grew up, went to school, got into his teenage years, and I figured we'd made it through the worst of it. But toward the end, something shifted. She stopped caring. She'd sit on the couch scrolling her phone, barely looking up when I walked in. I'd ask her about her day, and she'd just shrug. No explanation, no effort. I thought maybe it was stress or some midlife thing. I didn't push it too hard because I didn't want to start a fight. Looking back, I should have seen it. The signs were there, but I was too busy trying to hold everything together to notice she'd already checked out. It wasn't just disinterest, it was like I didn't exist to her anymore. That went on for months, maybe a year. I kept telling myself it'd get better, that we'd figure it out. Then it all came crashing down when I found out the truth. I found out she was cheating on me with my son's friend. Yeah, you read that right, my son's friend. Some kid he'd known since high school, barely out of his 20s. I caught her because she got sloppy. Left her phone on the kitchen counter one night, and a text popped up. It was him, saying something about meeting up later. I didn't even snoop, I just saw it, and asked her point blank. She didn't deny it. Just stared at me, then said it had been going on for months. Months. While I was working overtime to pay the bills, she was sneaking around with this guy. My son found out too, and he was just as shocked as I was. He came over the next day, pale and quiet, asking if it was true. I told him it was. For a second, I thought it might bring us closer, something this messed up could have been a bonding moment, right? We'd never been tight. Growing up, he blamed me for everything, the fights with his mom, the long hours I worked, the fact we didn't have a big house like his friends. I figured he'd see I wasn't the bad guy here. But no. He just looked at me like I'd failed him again after she admitted it. Everything fell apart fast. She didn't even try to fix things, she just packed a bag and left. Said she was done, that she'd been done for a long time. I didn't argue. What was there to say? She moved in with that kid, my son's friend, and I was left in the house we'd lived in for years, just me and the echoes of what used to be. I kept replaying it in my head. How long had it really been going on? Had she been laughing at me behind my back while I was stressing over mortgage payments? I didn't know, and honestly, I didn't want to. My son stopped coming around much after that. He'd text every now and then, short stuff like, "You okay?" But that was it. I thought he was just processing it, same as me. We'd never had a good relationship anyway. When he was a kid, he'd scream at me for missing his games or working too much. I'd tell him I was doing it for us, for the family, but he didn't care. He'd always been closer to her, and I got that. She was the fun one, the one who didn't have to enforce rules. But after she left, I figured he'd at least see my side for once. Nope. He started acting colder, like I'd somehow let this happen. Like it was my fault she cheated. I'd call him, and he'd let it go to voicemail. I'd text, and he'd reply hours later with one-word answers. It stung, but I didn't push him. I was too busy trying to keep myself together. Work became my escape. I'd stay late, take extra shifts, anything to avoid coming home to that empty house. Nights were the worst. I'd sit there with a beer, staring at the TV, not even watching it, just letting the noise fill the silence. I didn't tell anyone what happened, not my coworkers, not my buddies from back in the day. I didn't want the pity. I just kept going, day after day, waiting for it to hurt less. It didn't, not really, but I got used to it. Then, a few months later, something changed. I met someone new. I met this new woman at work. She started in the office a few months after my wife left. She was quiet, kept to herself mostly, but one day we got stuck on a project together. We had to stay late, sorting through spreadsheets, and I don't know how it happened, but we started talking. Not about anything big, just dumb stuff like the coffee machine breaking down, or how the boss always forgot names. She laughed at my stupid jokes, and it felt good. I hadn't realized how long it had been since I'd heard someone laugh around me. After that, we started grabbing coffee together during breaks. She didn't know about my ex or the mess with my son's friend. She didn't ask, and I didn't tell her. It was nice to have something that wasn't tainted by all that. Eventually, I asked her out. Nothing fancy, just dinner at a diner down the street. She said yes, and we went. It was simple, but it was the first time in months I didn't feel like complete garbage. We kept seeing each other after that, dinners, walks, sometimes just sitting at her place watching movies. She was steady, supportive. She'd listen when I rambled about work, and she didn't push me to talk about stuff I wasn't ready to bring up. I started thinking maybe I could move on, build something new. My ex was gone, my son barely spoke to me, maybe this was my shot at something better. I didn't tell my son about her right away. Figured it wasn't his business, and we weren't exactly on speaking terms anyway. But he found out eventually. I don't know how, maybe he saw us somewhere, maybe someone told him. Either way, he texted me one day out of the blue, asking who she was. I told him the truth, she was someone I'd been seeing, someone who'd been there for me. He didn't reply after that. Things with the new woman were going well, better than I expected. We'd been together a few months, and I started spending more time at her place. It was small, but it felt alive in a way my house didn't anymore. She had plants everywhere, books stacked on every surface, and she'd cook these huge meals even though it was just the two of us. I'd help her chop vegetables or wash dishes, and it was the most normal I'd felt in years. I didn't bring up my ex much, but one night I told her the whole story. My wife, the cheating, the kid she ran off with. She just listened, didn't judge, didn't ask a million questions. Said she was sorry I went through that and left it there. I appreciated it. Meanwhile, my son was a ghost. No calls, no texts, nothing since that one message asking about her. I didn't reach out either. I was tired of being the one to try. Then, out of nowhere, he showed up at my house one Saturday. I was surprised, figured maybe he wanted to talk things out. He didn't. He asked about her again, wanted to know how serious it was. I told him it was real, that she mattered to me. He nodded, didn't say much, then left. I didn't think anything of it at the time, just chalked it up to him being weird about me moving on. But a couple weeks later, I started noticing stuff. She'd get texts and step out of the room to answer them. She'd mention she was busy on nights we usually hung out. I didn't want to be paranoid, didn't want to think she'd pulled the same crap my ex did. I told myself it was nothing, that I was just messed up from before. But it kept happening, and I couldn't shake the feeling something was off. The weird behavior kept piling up. She'd be on her phone more, typing away, then put it down fast when I walked by. She started making excuses, work stuff, friends she hadn't seen in a while, errands that didn't add up. I'd ask her what was going on, and she'd say it was nothing, that she was just tired. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Things had been good with us, and I didn't want to ruin it by acting like some jealous nutcase. But it ate at me. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. She was over at my place, and her phone buzzed while she was in the bathroom. I didn't touch it, didn't need to. The screen lit up, and I saw my son's name. Just his name, no message preview, but it was enough. My stomach dropped. I sat there, staring at it until she came back. She picked up the phone, saw the notification, and shoved it in her pocket like it was no big deal. I asked her who texted. She said it was a coworker. I didn't call her out on it, not then. But I knew. A few days later, I saw them together. I was driving home from work, and there they were, walking out of a coffee shop. Not hiding it, not sneaking around, just out in the open, laughing like it was normal. My son and my girlfriend. I pulled over and watched them for a minute, trying to make sense of it. He'd done it on purpose. I could feel it. This wasn't some random thing. He'd gone after her to get back at me. For what, I didn't even know anymore. All those years of him blaming me, resenting me, and now this. I didn't confront them right away. I drove home, sat in my truck for a while, just thinking. My son and my girlfriend, how did it even get to this? I kept going over it, when he showed up asking about her, the way he'd gone quiet after, her sudden excuses. It wasn't an accident. He'd planned it, worked his way in, probably told her whatever she wanted to hear. I didn't know what he promised her, but it had to be something big for her to throw us away like that. The next day, I called her. Asked her to come over. She showed up, acting normal, like nothing was wrong. I told her I saw them at the coffee shop. Her face changed, went pale, then she tried to play it off. Said they'd just run into each other, that it was nothing. I asked if she'd been texting him behind my back. She didn't answer, just looked away. That was all I needed. I told her to leave. She didn't argue, didn't fight for us, just grabbed her stuff and walked out. A couple days later, my son called. First time he'd reached out in weeks. He didn't even try to deny it. Said he was seeing her now, that they were together. I asked him why. He didn't give a real answer, just said I'd figure it out someday. Then he hung up. I sat there, phone in my hand, feeling like the floor dropped out from under me. My ex left me for his friend, and now my son took my girlfriend. It wasn't even about her anymore. It was about him sticking it to me after that call. Everything went silent. My son stopped texting, stopped calling, stopped showing up. I didn't hear from her either. No apologies, no explanations, just nothing. The family I'd had, or whatever was left of it, was gone. My ex was off with that kid, my son was with my now ex-girlfriend, and I was alone in this house that felt more like a tomb every day. I kept going to work, kept paying the bills, kept moving, but it was autopilot. I'd come home, crack a beer, and sit there until it was time to sleep. Some nights I didn't even bother with the beer, just went straight to bed. I thought about reaching out to my son, trying to fix it, but what was the point? He'd made his choice. He wanted to hurt me, and he did. I didn't tell anyone what happened. My coworkers didn't need to know, and I didn't have friends close enough to dump this on. I just carried it. Weeks turned into months. I stopped checking my phone for messages that never came. I started avoiding places I might run into them, not that I knew where they were, but I didn't want the chance. The house got quieter, emptier. I'd see stuff she left behind, a sweater, a mug, and toss it without thinking. I didn't want reminders. I kept waiting for it to hit me harder, for some big breakdown, but it didn't. I was just numb. Maybe that was worse. It's been a while since all that went down. I'm still here, still alone. The house is the same, quiet, cold, just me rattling around in it. Work's the only thing keeping me sane, if you can call it that. I show up, do my hours, go home. No one asks questions, and I don't offer answers. My ex is still with that kid, last I heard. My son and my ex-girlfriend, I don't know where they are or what they're doing. Don't care anymore. They cut me out, and I stopped trying to figure out why. I used to think family meant something, that even when it got bad, there was a line you didn't cross. Guess I was wrong. My son hated me enough to take everything he could, first his respect, then her. I don't know what I did to make him feel that way. Maybe I worked too much, maybe I wasn't there enough when he was growing up. Maybe he just needed someone to blame. Doesn't matter now. I'm not mad anymore, not at him, not at her, not even at my ex. I'm just done. I keep the lights on, keep the fridge stocked, keep going. But it's empty. No one's coming back, and I'm not chasing them. This is it, just me, the house, and whatever's left of my life.